Welcome back to another episode of the speedrun. If you don't know what this is, it's where we climb up the chess.com rapid rating ladder and we play against opponents. We play against stronger and stronger opponents. I explain my thoughts during the game and we make them as constructive as possible. So we're up against another 1480 and we get e4 again. Last time I played e5. This time I'm not sure what we're going to play. You know what? Let's go c5. Let's fall back on our old trusted move. d6 and bishop to c4. So this is very, very common amongst beginners. Because against e5, they are taught the Italian opening with knight f3 and bishop c4. So they do the same thing against the Sicilian. Now, the reason it's not so effective is because we can blunt the bishop with our e-pawn and also gain time on the bishop by playing a6, b5 eventually. So we have a few setups we can use against this. There's like g6, bishop g7, e6, knight e7. We might use that one. Let's put our knight on c6 first. Okay, knight g5. So this is very, very aggressive. Now the thing about aggression is, if it's very early on, this type of play is it violates the opening principles, which immediately should tell you that it's not correct. So knight g5, this knight has moved twice in the opening. It's making a threat on the f7 pawn. Now, this is a one-move threat that can be defended by, let's say, pawn to e6. Now the threat is gone. Now the thing is, not only is the threat gone, I'm also making a threat of my own against the knight on g5, which he's going to have to deal with. Let's say d3. Eventually the knight is going to have to move away. And this hasn't really improved his position. I can play knight e7. I feel like playing g6 here. Just because I want to get my setup with bishop g7 and knight e7. Okay, he makes another one move threat here with queen to f3. Now, some people would start panicking here because, well, it looks like we have to deviate from our plan, right? Our plan was to play bishop g7 and knight e7, but here, okay, looks like we have to move our queen somewhere to defend it. We don't actually have to do that, because instead of focusing just on defense, we can also make some threats, right? So knight to e5. Knight to e5 is probably the best move here. Attacking the queen and threatening to take the bishop. So basically the only logical move in that position would be queen to f4, maintaining pressure on the f7 pawn, because let's say queen g3, well, I can just take on c4, win the bishop here, and there's nothing wrong with my position. So knight e5, queen f4. Now in that position I can't take on c4 because queen f7 is checkmate. But I can, let's say, play bishop h6 with a pin. Now it doesn't solve the checkmate threat, so perhaps there's something better than that. I also have to be aware of some bishop to b5 checks, which are slightly annoying. I'm also thinking maybe we can just play queen c7 and then kick the queen away with knight to d4. It's also a valid option. I can also just play knight to f6 here. Now the reason I didn't consider it before is because it blocks the bishop, it could get hit by e5 at some point. And I've already played g6 and e6, so I'm kind of worried about putting a piece on the f6 square. But white has sort of misplaced his own pieces as well, so I think this is fine. And I have knight d4 or knight e5 coming, and I can also just complete my development normally and then strike back in the center with pawn to d5. White has wasted time with the g5 knight, and the knight will probably have to move again. The bishop on c4 will also have to like move away at some point. So bishop to f4. Some pressure here. I could play knight d4 right away, but then queen d1, and then c3 follows, and I don't see what I gain from that. Now, hold on a minute. h6. The knight moves. This is a very interesting version of a tactical theme, which is very common. I was taught this theme a long time ago, and my coach called it the Bermuda Triangle or something like that, the Triangle of Death. So h6, then I think the knight has to move back, and then the knight on h3 and these two other pieces form the triangle. And basically, the tactic is that I can push g5 with tempo, and if the bishop moves, I push g4 with a fork on these two pieces. So I think it works. He'll probably sack. He'll probably sack somewhere. It's his best option. Whether he sacks on f7 or he takes twice on g5, but he has to sack. So yeah, this is sort of what happens when you throw all of your pieces aggressively early on. They get misplaced and then they get kicked back. And tactically, a lot of times it doesn't work out well either. So in this case, the knight is going to get forced back to h3 unless he takes on f7. And then I'm going to continue pushing with the move pawn to g5. And okay, it's an attack on the bishop. The bishop has to move somewhere, and then I can keep pushing with the move pawn to g4. So this setup with like the knight coming to g5, queen f3, bishop f4, it looks kind of scary, but principally and tactically, it does not work out. Okay, so g5, now it's going to get forked. Okay, so our opponent sacked a piece for 2 pawns. Now, like last time, I think our best option is to improve our pieces. We also could just try like trade down. Now, here, knight to e5 looks very good. We just want to take on c4. We want trades, so this is good. This is not like a super easy win because they do have 2 pawns. And some people might be scared of this, but they are kind of far from the 8th rank. So he gives a check. Let's block on d7. He takes on d7. Let's play queen takes. Oh, oh. Okay. I don't know if you heard those voices in the background, but they kind of distracted me. So we can, for now, I mean, we can just pretend that never happened, right? That never happened, guys. So let's just keep the game moving. Okay, knight g4. And we have to make sure we're not like hanging anything. I don't think we are. But, okay, the knight's attacking this. The queen comes back here. Are there any threats? I don't think there are. We can just... Okay, we have to be careful, actually. We cannot castle because the knight takes f7. So we have to... We have to get rid of the knight. How do we do that? Not completely sure. Let's maybe go back. Technique is not very good right now, but maybe if we bring our knight back to g6, ideally we would want to defend the knight, defend the pawn, and then, okay, I think this works now. Knight h7. We force the exchange. We force the exchange of knights, and then the danger will be gone, that we can castle queenside. Once again, the two pawns on the king side, they are connected pass pawns, but they are far from promotion, so they are not something to be super scared of. So we can bring our bishop to the long diagonal, and then maybe we can dream about b5, b4. But once again, do have to be careful. Let's say like he castles b5, might get hit with e5, and might lose that position. So like once again, you need to not let your guard down in these types of, in any position, in fact, because if you are on autopilot, oh, bishop's pointing over there, pawn push there as well. Well, then you get hit with some nasty tactics. So yeah, we could also just trade on c3. Okay, king to d2. Just castle. Just castle. Don't have a lot of time, so no need for anything crazy. King d2. I don't know why he doesn't just castle. Okay, h4. Bringing. Let's see. Can we have? Oh, let's just trade down. And then push. And then. Okay, that was his point. He wanted to preserve his pawn structure. So he values his pawn structure over his king safety. Interesting. I guess it doesn't. I guess he can just return d2. Okay, in this position, I have material advantage, and I will probably have some sort of an attack on the king. Now, probably I won't be having checkmate, but I will swap the queens off of the board, which is forced because otherwise I'll take on f2. Oh, okay, I guess he can do that, but now his queen is all the way over here, and it can't really defend the king. So now I'm going to take on h4. The queen has completely abandoned the king side. Let's go here. Now just pick up all the pawns. And yeah. And once again, this is a spot where you might let your guard down, but with the queen on a6, you never want to rule out the possibility of the rook coming here, right? That's probably white's fantasy, but sometimes fantasies come true, and you don't want to risk it. So here I can just grab the pawn safely. I will pick up the other pawn. Queen c6. He's dreaming about some sort of counterattack, but I don't see it happening. Don't see it happening. All my pieces are well placed, so we should be good. Let's bring our knight to the center. Our only problem could be that we don't have enough time. but hopefully this position is winning enough. I mean, okay, he weakens the d4 square. I was probably gonna play this move. Oh, he's not. Okay. Let's go here. Don't want to blunder anything on this diagonal. Like, that would be kind of sad. This is a good move. Now we hit this. Okay. Now, oh, okay. Makes it a lot easier for me. A lot easier for me. There we go. Okay. And take. And should be pretty easy now. Yeah, checkmate. Alright, there we go. And we also reached 1500 rapid, so pretty good. Okay, lots of instructive stuff to look over there. The opening, once again, if anyone plays the Sicilian, at the lower levels, this setup with bishop to c4 and knight f3 is very common, and generally it's not that big of a threat. Now, knight to g5. This is where it all starts. This type of attack is... okay, there's a lot of things wrong with it. First of all, like I said, it's breaking the opening principles. White spent 1-2 tempo with this knight, and then eventually, when black kicks away, white's going to have to spend another tempo moving it away. Also, this is basically... okay, it is creating a threat, but the problem is that once e6 happens, this doesn't make any sense anymore. So that's what I mean by a one-move threat. These pieces placed here, okay, f7 is certain, but after e6, the threat is defended, and okay, like now the pieces just look stupid. Next we move to normal. Queen f3, also a one-move threat, because okay, the queen comes here to attack the pawn, but after knight f6, if you look at the queen, it doesn't really make sense there either, because white is going to want to play h6, and then black's going to want to play h6, and then white's not going to have the f3 square anymore. So the queen here doesn't make any sense either. And yeah, after bishop f4, here's the this is the triangle of death, I suppose. The point is that you push a pawn, you gain a tempo on the corner piece. Bishop, let's say the bishop moves away, and then g4, hitting the other two corners of the triangle. So yeah, after the g5 push, now we're up a piece. Once again, our opponent, I mean, spent how much time? Like 2 seconds on this. 3 pieces, guys. 3 pieces. Didn't see it though. Bishop e7. And yeah, here, I just wanted to trade off the knight, because, actually, if I castle here, it's actually not a problem, right? Yeah, it's not a problem. Okay, I just want to trade off the knight, and once I do, yeah, it's just a smooth win from there. So hopefully you learned something from this episode of the speedrun. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.